So now we are on to Wednesday's phonics, PL 109, more contractions, and now we're using the word not, and we have the clownfish. So the spiral review, we're circling compound nouns, and I definitely wanted to bring this back because they know what compound words are, but compound nouns is something they definitely need to review on. And so when I would explain the worksheet, I would say, now remember, what are compound words? And they would say, well, it's two words squished together, a lot like a contraction, right? Except there's no apostrophe. Now, a compound noun, though, is two things. Two words squished together, and it's a person, place, or thing. It has to be both. If it's not a person, place, or thing, then it's not a compound noun. It may be a compound word, but it's not a compound noun. So I read each word, like after I teach the lesson. I've already explained the worksheet, gave it to them, taught the lesson, sent them back to their seats after going through with them, and then I would read each part, like I said before. But since it's been a week, I would probably even kind of review a couple with them before I give these worksheets to them, just to kind of help them remember. Bathroom. Okay, what are are there two words inside the word bathroom? Yeah, bath and room. Okay, and is it a noun? Is it a person, place, or thing? It's a place. So that is a compound noun. So they would circle it. Now, rewind. Are there two words inside of rewind? No. So that's not a compound noun. I wouldn't do all of them when I review them, but I might do something like, some of these are a little tricky. So lukewarm. Okay, and so I ask, are there two words inside? Yeah. What are the two words? Luke and warm. Now here's the trick. Is it a person, place, or thing? Lukewarm, not a person. Lukewarm place? Nope. Thing? No. It's how something feels. So that can't be a noun. That's an adjective. So this is, and they don't know adjectives yet. I haven't taught it yet this school year. I will soon, but I like to throw those out there. Like I'll say that's an adjective or that's an adverb or whatever, even if I haven't taught it yet, just to kind of throw that into their brains so that later on in the future, when we do start it, there will be some connection. Oh yeah, I remember when she said that was an adjective. That's what adjectives are. So I like to throw those out there just to kind of help introduce a subject that I'm going to be teaching in the future. So anyway, if it's not a noun, then you don't circle it. It's got to be two things, two words squished together, and a noun. So I'll read these words twice. I always, when I read the worksheets to them, I'm wanting them to focus on the objective. Do they know if it's a compound noun or not? I don't want them to worry about trying to figure out what the word is. So bathroom, bathroom, rewind, rewind, catfish, catfish, every day, well-educated, well-educated, babysit, babysit, courthouse, courthouse, textbook, textbook, lukewarm, lukewarm, thunderstorm, thunderstorm, purple, purple, toothbrush, toothbrush, waxed, waxed, upstairs, upstairs, girls, girls, football, football. Okay, so then down here, write each contraction from the two words given. So I did like a little bit of a review. So we have could have. So you're taking these two words and you're squishing them into a contraction. So remember, anytime you have a word, a word, and then have, you have that word. Instead of writing HA, it's apostrophe VE, and it becomes could have. And I know, like, after a few of these videos, if you end up watching all of them, by the end of them, you might be going, is it really necessary to repeat this over and over with them? Yes, it really is. When I teach these, I teach it over and over and over with them, because never underestimate the benefits of rote memory. Is so important. When they do their counting practice, I have them practice over and over and over and over. Their blends, their special sounds over and over and over again. And I try to mix it up, like I might have them do sound like a mouse, sound like a lion, stuff like that, just to kind of make it so it's not so boring. But at the same time, it is so important to review things over and over again. Research shows that someone doesn't actually really totally understand something until they're able to say it or show it or practice it at least 20 times. So yes, it is so important. Okay, so anyway, I went off on a tangent. So you take these two words and you're going to make it into the contraction. So could have becomes could have. Don't forget the apostrophe. Might have becomes, and you write the contraction. Write two words from each given contraction. Ignore my error there. Should have. So there's two words inside this contraction. So what are the two words inside? It's should, have. So you write should, space, no apostrophe, have, should have. Would have becomes, you write the contraction, would have. Okay, now on the back is a new lesson. I actually numbered them this time to kind of help me, since I'm using more boards for this one. Okay. So, I think I numbered them wrong. That's funny. Okay. I really did number them wrong. That's really funny. Well, I tried. Okay. So, when you have a word and then R, if you remember, you write that word, and then instead of writing A, you write the apostrophe R-E. So if you have the word we, are, it becomes were. Okay? When you have a word is, you write the word, instead of the I, it's an apostrophe S. So if we have he is, it becomes he's. Okay? For word have, you have your word. Instead of HA, your apostrophe VE. So if I have I have, it becomes I've. Okay? So that was our little quick review on the contractions we've learned so far. And now we're going to work on contractions that are a little tougher. But these you might find are kind of fun. I kind of like them because I'm weird like that. But I like tougher contractions. So when you have a word, not, you're going to write the word, the N, and guess what? Instead of the O, you are going to put an apostrophe. Isn't that funny? So when we have had not, we've got our word and the N, and instead of the O, the apostrophe. So we're going to write had, N, apostrophe T, hadn't. Isn't that crazy? And then, so we have is, not, and instead of writing that O, it's an apostrophe. So we're going to write is, N, apostrophe T. So is not becomes isn't. Now, sometimes, now we've talked about with a contraction that ends in R, we have the apostrophe RE just like there, right? Well, a lot of times you're going to have one that's R not. Well, guess what? You're going to keep R, and for not, instead of an O, apostrophe. So R, N, apostrophe T. R not becomes aren't. All right. So that's pretty easy, right? That's not too hard to remember. So let's do did not. So we keep did, right? And not instead of an O, it's an apostrophe. So we write did N apostrophe T. So did not becomes didn't. Well, then we get to something that's a little crazy. So we get to the words do not. This one's a little interesting. So we have the word do, right? Then we have the N apostrophe T, right? And you know how we say the words did not, didn't, do not? So you would think it would be don't, right? If we follow those rules, but guess what? We don't. It's funny. It is don't. Okay. And now we're going to get really crazy. Okay, so we have the word will not. We're totally going to change how we even spell this. Will not becomes dun, 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 won't. I will not get my work done. I won't get my work done. Do you notice how all these other words with all these apostrophes, all these contractions that we've done, we've kept those first words. But will not, we don't want to follow that rule. Okay, I'm sure there's a big reason behind it, and I'm sure anyone who's watching this that's really super smart is going, well, the whole reason why it won't is, I personally do not know exactly why, but I tell kids that when something like that happens, guess what? That's the English language. So there's always exceptions to every rule, which is the reason why English is one of the hardest languages to learn, because of all the exceptions to it. So I tell them it's okay if it's confusing, because it is confusing. Okay? All right. So now I've taught the lesson. I'm going to go over and read these parts of the worksheet. So it says write each contraction from the two given words. Have not. Okay? And so you're going to write have n't and apostrophe T. So have not becomes haven't. Could not becomes do not becomes, now this one is a tricky one, will not. What does that one become? Had not. What does that become? So now we're going to take these contractions and we're going to split them up. Now in the past, when we were splitting them up, it was really easy to find that first word because you'd find it and then right at where the apostrophe is. This one's a little trickier. If you can find that N apostrophe T, that's where you're going to put not. So couldn't becomes could not. So wherever it's an N apostrophe T, that's the word not. So when couldn't becomes could not, don't forget, it's could space, no apostrophe, not. Could not. Isn't. Write the two words inside of isn't. Are not. Doesn't. Wouldn't. And I think I may have given away an answer. I do that sometimes, and they think I'm so silly. So I'll go, oh, I gave away the answer. And they just laugh, Mrs. Allen. All right. So that is phonics for Wednesday. And normally on Wednesdays, I don't teach a phonics lesson. I usually, Wednesdays are usually when I do a spelling test and pre-test. At this point, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do spelling tests or pre-tests, if I'm going to do them. I know I'm sending spelling work home just so kids can look at the words and practice them and at least have an idea of what they are. But at this point, I don't think I can do a spelling test or pre-test. So But we'll see what happens in the future. All right, bye-bye.